Hey guys, Rick with Let's Level Up here, and today we're going to talk about the Epic Spell Wars Battle Wizards Duel at Mt Skullzfyre. This game is a very cool, tongue-in-cheek, but epically crafted dueling mages game. And it actually plays 2 to 6 players. Now, the overall point of this game is that we're going to be creating spells on the fly to vanquish our enemies. And our enemies is every other wizard in the duel. There's a lot of cool creative energies here, and the illustrations by Nick Edwards are top shelf. Really, the game kind of reminds me of watching Regular Show or Adventure Time or something like that, especially when it gets into some of their old wizard talk. Very cool. It's designed by Corey Jones and Rob Heinzu, and it was published by Cryptozoic last year in 2012. This game is a lot of fun. We're going to show you how to play it, and also going to show you a little bit about it here in this video. But before we get into that, this video is sponsored by War Dogs Gaming in San Angelo, Texas. So if you're a gamer in this area, definitely go and check out War Dogs Gaming. They have a ton of games like this and many more on their shelves. They also had a lot of comics and collectibles there as well. So if you see this video, tell them Let's Level Up sent you, and definitely go and buy this game because it's a lot of fun. One last thing before the jump, please be sure to follow us on all your social media sites. I'm talking Facebook, Google+, Twitter. Follow us and subscribe on YouTube if you haven't already, and give this video a like because it helps us go a long way. Thank you so much for all the comments and feedback that we've been getting. We're going to have a lot of cool stuff coming in the pipe in the next few weeks. Take a look at the Epic Spell Wars Battle Wizards and let us know what you think. Okay, so this is it when we open the box of the Epic Spell Wars of the Battle Wizards. Now again, this game itself is very tongue-in-cheek, and as I would expect, the manual itself keeps the same tone. Just reading the premise of the game is very funny. I won't go through any spoilers. Essentially, an awesome creature formed a universe where nothing but epic exists, and thus the wizards duel each other for the rights to essentially ascend Mt Skullzfyre and potentially get out of their hell. There's not a lot to this game in terms of rules. That makes it very easy for a novice player to actually pick this up. I played a couple games or a couple rounds with my wife earlier, and she's not much of a gamer, but she took to the game pretty fast and had a lot of fun while she was playing it. The components are simple. We've got 3 main decks here. Our main deck, a treasure deck, and a dead wizard's deck. We also have a player card that represents who we are. There's 4 dice that are included. There's going to be a life counter that will go on our player card, represented by this little skull here. And finally, our round winner token. This is the last wizard standing token. The main objective of this game is to actually get 2 of these. The first wizard to do that wins the overall game. So we keep going through and playing round after round until somebody at the table has gotten 2 tokens. Remember a couple things here. Magic in this universe is a bit tricky, to say the least. We're actually going to be crafting our spells on the fly. And we can actually use one of 3 different types of cards. I'm sorry, potentially 3 cards, but a minimum of 1 to actually cast a spell. Those card types are as follows. There's the source of the card, there's the quality of the card, and then finally there's the delivery of the card. Each of those can be actually melded together to form a very powerful spell. That's going to be handled here in our main deck. Our treasure deck we're going to get through actually playing spells, destroying other wizards, and doing things throughout the round, and the treasures will actually help us and enhance us be a better wizard, potentially winning the round. Finally, if we die and we don't win the round, we'll take a dead wizard card and essentially sack everything else. We'll take care of our hand, and we'll get rid of all of our treasures and put those back in the discard pile. At the beginning of the next round, we'll immediately play the dead wizard card before we draw our hand. So that being said, let's take a look at some of the characters that we can actually be in this game. There's Krastor, the Bloodamancer. Princess Holiday in her fur corn. Lady Laserverse of the Space Kingdom. Zanzibart, the Slog Genie. Faye Tinklebottom, the Enchanter. Pister, the Pissed Wizard. Hogs the House. Jung, the Spirit Master. And that's it. So these characters don't actually really do anything as far as their abilities. They kind of just give you a little, essentially to play mat with a life counter. But they're actually very, very good. I mentioned before, Nick Edwards is the one that did all the illustrating here. And his art style is very similar to what you'd see on Regular Show or Adventure Time. And in fact, I think he does the comic book for one of those. I'm not 100% sure right off the top of my head. So let's take a second and take a look at the different components of the spells a little bit closer. So on your turn, you're going to actually play 1 to 3 components of an overall spell. Now, the idea is to try to match pairs of different types depending on the spell you're casting. There's different schools of magic, essentially, such as illusion, such as elemental, there's dark magic, there's primal magic. So each of these kind of has their own theme and will shape the course of the spell depending on how you play it. So these are the first 3 spells that completed a full spell, and we'll start with the source. The first part of the card is essentially the mage who first designed the spell. So in this instance, it is Beardoblastes, and this card actually is going to be our source, again dictated by the yellow here, the yellow S, and it also is an arcane card. The text on Beardoblastes' card says that this card copies the text of the delivery of your spell. So this actually will duplicate whatever the delivery of our spell is. The next component in our spell is going to be the quality. And this is actually going to be the middle part. And as you can see, as I'm laying them down, this banner is going to connect from spell to spell. And actually, the artwork will connect as well. So the spell quality I'm putting in here is actually called Delicious. And let me actually get a little bit closer here on the shot so you can see a little bit more what I'm talking about. Okay, now that we're zoomed in, you see that we have Beardoblastes Delicious, and the last thing we're going to need to this deck, or this spell, is actually going to be the delivery mechanism of how this actually happens. So this is going to end up being called Beardoblastes Delicious Brain Suck. Now, whenever you deliver your spell and you reveal it, you're supposed to do it in your best wizard voice. This game is nothing if not for the theme. So have a lot of fun with this. Take your character card, maybe even make your own character card, and really dive into the wizard that you've always wanted to be in the most epic way possible. So again, let's go over each component of the spell. We've got our arcane source. This is Beardoblastes, and it's going to copy the delivery here. So when this actually, these spells are going to essentially resolve first to last here. So we're always going to resolve our source first. In this case, it would take our delivery and copy it and basically do the delivery twice. The next piece is Delicious, and Delicious is an elemental spell and is our quality, of course. And it says foes with an odd number of HP each take 1 damage for each different glyph in our spell. So as you can see, our glyphs are in the bottom left corner. So we have an arcane, an elemental, and finally it's going to be an illusion. So essentially each of my opponents with odd number of health is going to take 3 damage because I have 3 different glyphs that compose the spell. And again, we start out with 20 health here. We can go up to a max of 25 through primal magic, but never exceed that. And as soon as we get to 0 health, our wizard is dead. So our health is actually going to go very fast. These are intended to be very, very quick rounds. Finally, we have Brain Suck. And Brain Suck says is the target is foe of our choice. Not all spells give us that luxury. A lot of them say to the left, to the right. It'll say a random foe. It'll say the weakest foe or the strongest foe or something like that. Maybe even it says all other foes. Illusions magic often give you the ability to choose who it's happening to. So it says roll power, And actually, power is going to be determined based on the type of glyph that the delivery mechanism is. So in this case, it's going to be illusion. We get 1d6 in a power roll for every illusion spell that we had cast. Sorry, that's part of our spell. So since Beardoblasty essentially copied Brain Suck, we'll have 2 copies of an illusion here. So each of these would resolve at 2 dice. So we essentially give these a roll. In this case, we got 10. And on the result of 10, it says deal 4 damage, and you may choose one. Sorry, choose one of that foe's treasures and destroy it. Text is kind of small and I'm far away, so it's hard to read. So we're going to essentially do that twice. So that will resolve that piece, and then we roll again and get a 6, and the 6 here is just deal 3 damage. So overall, we did 4 damage here, 3 damage here, and another 3 damage here to everybody. So that foe just took 10 points of damage, everyone else took 3. So this was a very, very potent spell thanks to our dice rolls. Now, I'm going to have a hand of essentially 8 cards, and I'm not always going to have 3 components to my spell. I can't play 3 sources. I can only play 1 source in the spell, 1 quality, and potentially 1 delivery. Now let's say I didn't have Delicious in my hand. Let's say I only had Beardoblasty's Brain Suck, and that was the spell I played. Well, this is actually really important because this determines who goes when. The players who have only 1 component in their spell are always going to go first. The players who have 2 components will go next. And finally, the players with a full 3 component spell are going to go last. And if there's ever an event of a tie, you'll take the deliveries mechanism here. I'm sorry, the initiative on the delivery, which in this case is going to be a 15. And whoever has the highest initiative is going to go. If that is still a tie, you can do an old-fashioned roll-off to determine who's going to go. So if I only have 1 spell to play, in this case Beardoblasties, I'm going to play it. And I'll essentially go first. Now, I wouldn't recommend doing that because Beardoblasty's power is to copy your delivery, and if you don't have a delivery here, it's not going to be much to copy on. So each of these are going to essentially resolve left to right. If I'm missing one, that's still going to be the case. So I can still do Beardoblasty's Brain Suck and essentially do Brain Suck twice. In this case, I wouldn't get the delicious factor of the spell. Everybody on their turn is going to essentially do this. So you'll secretly put together your spell. You can put them under the table. You can put whatever components you want. Your players aren't going to know how many components you have until you reveal, and you reveal on your turn. So essentially, you start the round off saying, does anybody have a 1 component linked spell? If they do, they reveal it, they resolve it, and then we move on to the people who have 2 components. They reveal theirs, they resolve it, and then finally we go to 3, and then we determine the initiative from there. So if I don't have the spells or necessarily the components to complete a full 3 component spell, I may end up doing that tactically to go first. If I know my opponent on my left has got a really low HP value, I may try to just nuke him and get him off the table before he has the chance to heal. So there's a lot of room for really fun strategy, and really silly strategy at that, because this game, again, very, very tongue-in-cheek with its spells. Let me just find really quickly one other card. Oh, that was weird. Right when I lifted up the deck, I saw it. There's wild magic cards as well that you can actually get into your hand, and these will actually form up any type of area that I am missing. So if I was missing my quality, I can put it here in the middle. If I had my quality but was missing my source, I could do the same here. Now essentially with wild magic, what I'll do is I'll pull from the main deck until I find an available card that's going to be the one I'm missing. So in this case I'm looking for a source. So that's another quality, another delivery. Here we go. There's our source here. So Pam and Necubuzz, delicious Brain Suck. And this actually, Pam's and Nekibuzz actually has the flavor text, or essentially resolves to say that the delivery mechanism is going to target every foe rather than the original target. So take a look at each of the spells that you have in your hand. Again, you're going to have 8 cards at the start of every turn. At the end of the round, all wizards will discard, regardless if they're living or dead, will discard their treasure and their hands, and then you'll draw back up to the next turn. So let's take a second and talk about the treasure. Treasure cards are simply equipment and other types of things that you can actually get. Once you acquire a treasure, you'll immediately place it face up next to your character card, and essentially it'll resolve its own text. This can be anything from, hey, your power dice are all +1, or you can have an extended 1 card in your hand and increase your hand strength. It could be something that your spells arc from one player to the next. So this equipment is actually very, very powerful, and you're going to want to make sure you can keep it once you have it. Again, at the end of the round though, all of the treasures that you have accumulated are going to go away. They want this so that way no one can actually build up an uber wizard and essentially annihilate everybody round after round. It also keeps the game fresh because it keeps you exploring different possibilities. So at the end of this, we'll discard all of these, and we won't shuffle them back into the main deck. So essentially, this is going to keep getting shorter and shorter as we play until eventually we're out of treasures, and at that point we'll shuffle the discard piles back together. That's true for every deck in this game, whether it be the Dead Wizards deck or the main deck or the treasure deck. So the Epic Spell Wars is a really good, really fun, light game for you to play at the table. It's one that you can quickly get on the table, play a couple hands, play a couple game rounds, and have a lot of fun while you do it. And a good filler game in that aspect as well. If you're a tournament player, I think you can have a lot of fun with this game still. It's a good kind of breath of fresh air, and I think in a series of games like Magic and like Mage Wars, Summon Wars, like I've already mentioned, that tend to take themselves a little too serious. This game lets you take a step back, kind of laugh again, and but still be pretty competitive and be pretty strategic. Those are really my favorite kinds of games. I think overall we're going to give Epic Spell Wars of the Battle Wizards a 7.5 out of 10. There's not too many things I don't like about this game. I will say that I'd like to see more from it, meaning I'd like more spells, maybe even more types of glyphs. Summoning glyphs and things like that would be cool. Yeah, so that's going to be our official score, 7.5 out of 10. Again, thank you War Dogs for letting us take the time to look at this. And as always, guys, game on. We'll be back with our final thought. So that was it, huh? Pretty epic. Battle Wizards. I mean, the game itself lends you to be very creative and still at the same time be very competitive with one another. I like the mechanics of having the spells determine who it is I'm attacking, or giving me the ability to play the choice if I deem fit. I think overall, as far as the theme, I really enjoy it. It's very lighthearted, but at the same time being as gruesome as it possibly can be. A lot of neat energy goes into this game, which I think is very appreciated, especially with all the other more seriously toned, drawn out Mage Duel games like Mage Wars or Summoner Wars or even Magic. This game is very easy to play. You can get it in, get it out, and play several games in just a half hour or so. Really, really fun. So definitely give this game a look if you're interested in it. And again, please check out our sponsor at War Dogs Gaming on Facebook. And thank you so much for watching this video.